Hello, everyone, and welcome to the London Bookshop Crawl online. Today, I am talking to Holly Burrows to find out some more about the Cartoon Museum and their bookshop. Hello, Holly.
Hi, nice to meet you.
So, the Cartoon Museum, it's one that some of our bookshop crawlers might not know too much about. They may not have come across it. Can you tell us a little bit about where it is and what you do, and a bit about the shop?
Yeah, sure. So the Cartoon Museum, it moved fairly recently. It used to be quite close to the British Museum, and it's now in a new site on Wells Street, which is sort of like 5 minutes walk away from Oxford Circus. So it's really easy to get to, right in the middle of central London. And it's in a basement, so it's kind of a really interesting building because it's quite an industrial site, but it's got an art gallery in it. And we've got housed thousands of cartoons, British cartoons and comic art. And so at the moment we've got 3 exhibitions on. We've got one which is kind of the history of British cartoons and comics, which was curated by Steve Bell, who's a political cartoonist. We've got Judge Dredd, who lots of people will have heard of. And we've also got Laughter Lab, which is an exhibition which is also an experiment in collaboration with Oxford University. And it's finding out basically whether kind of everyone finds the same cartoons funny. Right. So it's a live experiment when you go in and experience it and do it, and then we will be getting the results and announcing them in May.
That sounds amazing. Do the exhibits regularly change over? Is it something that you on your website, have you got sort of upcoming things coming on later on in the year, that sort of thing?
Yeah. If you check our website, you'll see all the details of the different exhibitions and events and workshops as well. So we've got half-term workshops coming up. So people with families and children who need things to do to be able to keep them amused, have a look.
Brilliant. There we are. So including comics and graphic novel art in the exhibits. This is going to be it is a tenuous question. It probably gets asked quite a lot. What do you feel is the difference between cartoons and comics? Is there a difference?
Yeah, so no, I think there is. I was thinking about this. So the actual word cartoon originally meant a kind of a sketch for like a fresco or a painting or something. And then it kind of changed the meaning to become the actual sort of drawing itself. Well, no, originally it was actually the kind of the board that the sketch was drawn onto. And then it became the actual sort of sketch itself. And then its sort of first usage that people are aware of, that it was used to mean a kind of a cartoon, as in a drawing, a comic strip with kind of funny image, was actually in Punch magazine, right, which is also known for like cartoons and kind of funny sketches and things. So that's kind of that's kind of the origin of the word. And I would say people kind of think it's either like a kind of children's animation or like Disney films or that kind of thing, which is not particularly what we have in the museum at all. It's more we have the other kind of cartoon, which is like a drawing which is funny. So an image of something, maybe with a few words, or like a speech bubble or a caption, something which is communicating something sort of quickly and is also funny and makes you laugh. And then comics, I would say, is more like the actual physical thing. So it's like the magazine, the Beano or the Dandy or something like that, and contains like a selection of different strips which are longer, so they tell a story, maybe only over like 3 panels or something. But that's sort of the difference. I'd say a cartoon's kind of a style, whereas a comic is like a physical thing.
That's a really, really good description. Thank you for that. I know it's a really, as I said before, and it's a really tenuous question because I'm sure it's the sort of thing that gets sort of asked fairly regularly in these situations. So yeah, thank you for that. That's really good. So we are very big graphic novel fans in our house. We have got quite a big collection of graphic novels, and our children are big cartoon and comic collectors, I guess. We subscribe to the Phoenix magazine, so we've seen regular sort of comics, cartoon-esque almost. Some of them are really short, sort of 2-panel sort of things, which are really quite good fun.
Yeah.
What are some of the most popular comics, graphic novels that you sell in your shop, out of interest?
So definitely anything related to the Beano. So although we don't sell the actual physical comic, we sell lots of books relating to it, or
Yes.
annuals and that kind of thing. So that's probably the most popular children's kind of book that we sell. Anything to do with Batman as well, if you want to like think about superheroes, that seems to be the one that sort of tops the sales all the time. And then generally speaking, it's the books which relate to our exhibitions. So our kind of best-selling books this year have been V for Vendetta, because we had an exhibition of that at the start of the year. There's one, FML Comics, which is by Natasha Natarajan. So that's a collection of her, it started off as webcomics on Instagram. So that's been doing really well. And then more recently, we had an exhibition of Black, which is a graphic novel which just came out last November. And that did really well as well. And it's really nice because like Natasha's book and it's Tobias and Anthony's book, Black, they're not kind of obviously as well known as V for Vendetta, but they have been as strong selling in the shop, which is really good.
Definitely. I mean, V for Vendetta obviously came back into its own obviously about 10-15 years ago when the movie came out, and I think that sort of helped the sales. We've got a copy of the graphic novel of it, and they're really incredible artwork. So it's so yes, being a smaller venue, you are quite it is a smaller venue, isn't it? It's not a huge location. Is that tricky in London? Obviously, there's so many museums, galleries, all vying for attention. How does the Cartoon Museum make its voice heard over all of the noise around, I guess, is the question I'm asking.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is tricky because obviously there are so many places in London, and lots of the bigger museums obviously get government funding, which we don't get. So they've got lots more resources. But I think what we offer is quite unique and quirky and interesting. And we always like to say we're kind of one of the only museums where the visitors like quite regularly laugh out loud and are encouraged to do so. So there's that, and we try and reach out to different communities and like local people through our kind of outreach events and workshops and all of that kind of stuff as well. So yeah, I think as well, because it's quite cartoons and comics, it's quite an accessible art form, so everyone kind of knows about it. So it's perhaps something that people feel more easy to kind of come in and engage with than they might do with I don't know, some obscure fine art exhibition or something somewhere else.
That's really good. I'm going to ask sort of bit of a more personal to you question, I guess, if that's okay. Do you have a particular book related to cartoon history that you feel is sort of your go-to, if that makes sense?
One that's kind of like to help someone know kind of all about cartoons, that kind of
exactly
thing. Probably the one that I most remember was actually one that I used to look at when I was a child. Don't know if it's still available, actually. It's probably out of print or something by now, but it was done with I think it was it was something to do with like Live Aid or something like that, or Comic Relief. It was like in collaboration with that, and it was celebrities being interviewed about their favorite cartoons and comics. But the majority of it was just lots and lots of different comic strips and cartoons.
Brilliant.
And I remember looking through it because it was just so incredibly varied. So you'd have kind of like a Spider-Man sort of story, and then next to that would be the Care Bears or something, and it would just be incredibly diverse. And I think that kind of I remember looking at it at the time and maybe not quite understanding all of the stories and everything, but just finding it really fascinating because of all of these different styles and like what they were trying to sort of say in different ways. And there's a book which I was given to borrow by the director of the Cartoon Museum when I started working here, which of course I can't remember the name of, but it's kind of a brief history of all of sort of cartoons and comics, and it's really, really useful. If Brilliant. I remember it, I'll write it in the comments.
Write it in the comments when this video goes up. That'll be good.
Yeah.
Cartoon Museum, do you have social media presence? Is there any you'd like to shout out at the moment, just so that people can follow you online?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're on all of them, all the usual ones. So we're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So if you search Cartoon Museum, you should find us on all of those. And probably the main thing to sort of shout about right now is we've got an actual conference coming up on the 7th of February. We've still got a few spaces left, and it's for anyone who's kind of interested in cartoons and comics and working in the sector.
Brilliant. This video, because we were recording this a few weeks before the Bookshop Crawl, so the 7th of February, unfortunately, will be after this is released. Is that something that you do yearly? So will that be coming back, or?
Yeah, no, we will be doing it next year as well. So this will be the first time that we would have done it. So yeah, but we've got like a whole kind of selection of evening events. We open late on a Thursday as well, so if people can't make it during the day, feel free to come after work then, because we open until 8.
Oh, wonderful. So last question for you, and thank you so much for answering these today. It's been really interesting to hear about the Cartoon Museum, and I mean it's somewhere we've not actually been, so we're actually it's on our list of places that we're going to visit. Hopefully within the next, hopefully during Bookshop Crawl, if not during this year. So it's definitely on our list. Where would you say is your favourite London bookshop? Obviously, other than your own location, is there another place that you particularly love?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this because I suddenly realised that I haven't actually been to lots of bookshops for years, obviously because of the pandemic. So it's kind of only just starting back again.
Yes.
And I realised it's something I've actually quite missed, is just going into a bookshop and just browsing and looking at all of the different books. And then you always inevitably buy something as well.
Absolutely.
But I used to work in King's Cross. So the ones that I used to visit most frequently were the Book Barge, Word on the Water. And Houseman's. And Houseman's Bookshop as well.
They are two of the most popular bookshops on the Bookshop Crawl, I think.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah,
they're wonderful, and they've both been very good supporters of us over the years, which has been really good. Houseman's obviously has a really good comic and graphic novel section downstairs in its basement as well, and they're always quite unique ones as well. They're sort of indie publishers and things, so it's quite a good location to head.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, Holly, thank you so much for your time. Very much appreciated, and I wish you the very best in 2022.
Thank you very much, and you.
Thank you.